Top of the morning. I'm about to trigger Manor on my Memphis accent. Top of the morning to ya, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name's DB333. There we go. And welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. The last days of Europe. Toolbox theory. That's right, laddies. I'll ease off on a bit for Manor for a second. I only just got rid of Night Terrors. We are back. This is with, I think, 3 patches to the name. So I think this save is supposed to be incompatible, so we'll just wait and see what happened. I had to go ahead and leave my house for a while, so I couldn't continue streaming for a while. But we are back at it now. We have a nice credit rating. Let's count our pennies. We're actually still having a surplus, which is nice. And, yeah, we're just kind of trying to see where we left off. So, if the world ends up collapsing because of the Winnipeg Olympics, they did not patch that, and that's unfortunate. But it's been a few days, so hopefully it should be. Yeah, I had to leave my house for a while. I talked about this on Discord. COVID went through my house. My sister got it. And I can't afford to get sick right now. So I left in a... Uh-oh game. Risk fuck your ass economy should either be in the absolute cutter levels of absurdly rich. SMH my head. But yeah, I'll get back to what I was talking about after I click through all these and read this. Questioning the witnesses have been unproductive thus far. No one's seen much of anything to note. People were offering speculation on what happened rather than anything concrete. I didn't see much. It all happened so fast. Just knew it was those proddy bastards. Only one untrue them would have been so bold. I don't have any proof, but I know it's true. One had said something useful, however. After the attacker shot out something out of their car as they ran away, but I couldn't make out what was said. He pointed out a young man, maybe 17 or 18, lingering on the edge of the crowd. He was a lot closer to the attack. He might have heard something. Talking to the young man, however, had been less than successful. I told you, I didn't see anything. You were the closest one to the attack when it happened. You couldn't possibly have seen nothing. 4 men are dead. You're the only one in the entire village who would be close enough to see what happened. The young man was silent for a minute, arms crossed against his chest. Like I said, officer, I didn't see anything. Eamon walked away, going to confer with Officer Flanagan. It's obvious the kid knows something. The only question is why he won't talk. Joe already thought to himself. The kid either sympathized with the Protestants or he was too afraid to talk. Accusing the kid of sympathizing with the attack would certainly be inflammatory, but might scare him into talking. On the other hand, coddling the kid might not convince him if he really did sympathize with the attack, but promises of safety might make him feel comfortable enough to testify. Not only does fuckers get argue, they're also putting canned cheese. Oh, God. Listen, we'll offer to keep him safe. Blimey. And what was I talking about? Right, so I had to leave my house because I can't afford to get COVID. And my sister has it. One, my mom tested negative, so that was good. 2, my sister's not in the fucking house. She fucking upped up and left. So, can't get from her. Can't get from her, so I think we're good. Canned cheese is a thing. Oh, it doesn't. If it's America, there's anything cheese. Oh, Jesus Christ, look at that inflation. That is rough. Bloody hell. So just calm down. And then we'll go ahead and hold on tight. The Irish economy is in free fall. Prices are collapsing. Production is grinding to a halt. People are aching up with fortunes acquired over a lifetime. Work vanished before their eyes. Something must be done. We'll close the stock market indefinitely to try to put a halt to brokers selling their stocks in a panic. In an effort, we'll also print more money in an effort to try and fill the hole left by the departure of German investors. So likely to do no more than slowing down the total economic collapse Ireland is tumbling towards. It will be terrible for the Irish economy in the long run, but we can worry about the long run when the Irish people can afford to buy food and countries are collapsing around us. I think I usually gives with buffalo chicken sliders. What even is Arby's? What do they sell? It's like a roast beef chicken. It's like a meat fast food place, really. It's the best way I can describe it. Their whole tagline is that they have the meats. And I mean, they do. It's just whether or not they're good. Yep, Gamer South Africa. Indeed. They already walked over to where the boy had been standing. Listen, young man. I know you must be frightened after being so close to the attack. I know living here isn't the safest right now. But we can keep you safe. The more you tell us, the better we can protect you and your family from the paramilitaries. But you have to talk to us. The boy was silent for a moment. I may have heard something. The attackers, I heard them shout something at the officers. Before the attackers lobbed the bomb at them. Take that, you fascist fucking green shirts, I think it was. Another shout about the attack being the will of the working people made manifest or something. Do you know what it means, officer? Yeah, I think I do know what that means. Thanking the young man for his help, Doherty walked to confer with Flanagan. Get anything from the kid? It was the Ulster Volunteer Force. So who was it then if it wasn't the Ulster Volunteer Force, excuse me. So who was it then if it wasn't those losers? It was the IRA. The kid said he heard them spout off a couple of left-wing slogans before they attacked the officers. The UVF wouldn't care all that much who they voted for in the last election. The IRA, on the other hand, now they just might. You think? I know. It's the IRA. It has to be. I need to call the headquarters, phone this in. Do you think you can get me a telephone? Doherty was led back through the now dispersing crowd before a payphone. Dialing the phone, it rang for a few moments before answering with a, "Gotta? Operator, this is Inspector Amon. I've got something for you." Just ask for separate bags because of allergies. We tried that. My mom needed an EpiPen. Can't get that shit because my... Jesus! That sounds fucking nuts. Unlike Subway, you can't see them change your gloves, so most of the time you don't bother because there's no proof that they did. Oof. Yeah, shit. Sounds about right. The town of Balbriggan, County Dublin, lived a group of boys. These boys got along very well and been together since they were young children. They played the same sports, the same classes, and knew the same girls. They often talked about the same politics. It didn't make sense that Ireland should be in the pact, they thought. Weren't they supposed to be a democracy? Why couldn't Ireland expel the Nazi advisors and stand up to the Hun like Scotland or Wales had? The obvious answer was if they did, the Germans would swoop down and capitulate them in a week. So that was out of the question. The German Civil War changed that calculus. At this point, with the economic crash and preoccupation of the Nazis, Ireland had been granted a golden opportunity. She could slip her bounds blamelessly and once more be a free nation. And yet she would not. It didn't make sense from the boys from Balbriggan that Ireland would choose to stay in the pact. Perhaps no nation would dare risk upsetting the hold the Germans still had. England did, and that changed the calculus. It was an outright embarrassment. Scotland had stood up. Wales had stood up. The bloody English were standing up. And the most historically abused, maltreated, and forlorn people of the Isles had decided to purchase their lives with peace and chains and slavery. This was not what the schools had told them an Irishman was. How could they reconcile the image of a brave fighter for freedom with the downtrodden men who went along with whatever the master ordered them to? They couldn't, and they were going to live that ideal if no one else would. One day the boys disappeared along with a motor launch from the harbor, 2 shotguns, a hunting rifle, a revolver, and a library book detailing the lighthouses of the British Isles. Earlier that day, one had asked a fisherman if he knew Auchinleck was holding the Isle of Man. One must make a stand. Let's see. Is he? Nope, Scotland is. Has Scotland always held them? Unfamily-based Irish volunteers, true. Hey, Kev, that's you, right? Potato Man? Sorry, that's probably mean. Kev will have to respond to that. I don't know about that. You gotta say, so far so good with the TNO. Yes, lads, it is I, Semtex Potato Man. Charles! Yelled George Colley as he chased after Charles HoI, sticking his hand in the air. The two men had just stirred up quite the debate of the usually quiet Doyle. Usually on a day like this, in a year like this, it would have been full of voices. After jockeying for year like this, it would have been full of voices, all jockeying for themselves. Irish politics had been a bloodbath, he thought as he walked down the hall. As he walked through the hall, Charles eventually turned up and walked right in front of George before sticking his hand up, ever so slightly raising his voice. So help me God, if you scream at me one more time, George, I will walk out. George looked at him before nodding, and the two men walked back into the main chamber. Surrounding them in seats had been representatives. Charles chuckled before beginning his monologue to the stunned representative. That was almost Jamaican. What are you talking about? This is Irish. I think you of all people would know that. He went on and on, talking about how if they would want to become an economic powerhouse in Europe, they must foster closer relations with the Pact. Many tried to look at him in disgust, but at the same time, something was drawing a few to him. The idea of becoming a leader of the economic world was an idea that the country had been dreaming of since independence. George looked around, trying to make sense of the mood in the air. Had the people gone mad? They really want to dance with the Germans? He said this to himself, thinking that this deal may be harder to execute than thought. This was Ireland, after all. Nothing would come without a fight. Well, he does speak well. Foster closer relations with the Pact. Meanwhile, Germany's on fucking fire. Yeah, I'm curious how well that's going to go for him. Let's unite the Doyle. The Doyle has always been a contentious body of lawmakers. Day in and day out, our TDs bicker and fight, angling for more political power and influence, either personal or for their party. Factions within the Doyle war with each other, all hoping to drive Ireland along towards their vision. This has to stop. For the most part, we were willing to let the TDs have their petty conflicts, but in the economic crisis we find ourselves in, this is no longer acceptable. For once, the Doyle must unite beyond one banner, one plan, one ideal for Ireland. That of a Toysach, I forget how to pronounce it at this point. They may not like it, but they'll damn well comply if they want to keep Ireland in one piece. They can get back to their petty bickering after we've brought our great nation back from the brink of destruction. Or we can help. We can hope, at least. Henry Molyneux was disappointed but not surprised when he was called into his manager's office of local deli. The youth had quite liked his job despite the low pay. He enjoyed talking to customers, especially little old Miss Marie. She was always kind and liked helping them with her purchases. As he walked into the office, the face of his manager was consumed by a rictus of disgust aimed directly at him. His smile was gone and his brow was furrowed. A sneer rendered him unrecognizable as the cheerful man who welcomed Henry to the store months before. Everything was different except for the eyes. Within them lay the familiar glare of hatred and prejudice he'd seen from so many others. A hatred he and his people knew better than anyone else. Taoiseach. Depends where you're from, the pronunciation's island. Okay. You're a Jew? Took all of his strength not to stop. Henry, I cannot believe that you would lie to me. It was such a good work. I always came on time and did your work, but now I find out you're a Jew. How could you lie to me like this? I never lied, sir. You never told me, and that's bad enough. I had to find out from your neighbors that you were Jewish. You betrayed my trust, and I won't have any damn Jew poisoning my customers or stealing from Matilda. Do you understand me? His manager frowned at him, as if he was looking for something he had seen before. You're fired. I don't want to see you here ever again. Henry's head hung low as a cheerful bell on the door announced his exit from the deli. This had been the third job in as many years he'd been fired from. His parents had fled from the Nazis in France to Ireland when he was very young, but the prejudices and beliefs had followed them here. Henry knew nothing but Ireland, yet he was still treated as an outsider, seemingly unable to fit in anywhere. We sat and wept as we remembered Zion. This event made me sad. I know, it's a sad one. It really is. It bums me out. The dissolution of the West Indies Federation. Uh-oh. Game? I think something just happened with Italy. We got a Tricky Dick over there. Diefenbaker with the Tories. Jamaica is still in the U.S. along with all of these countries, which I don't know if that's supposed to be the case. If I had to guess, it probably isn't. No, the U.S. owns the Bahamas now. Fucking hell, that GDP drop. I know. It's rough. Oh, let me check the Cold War. They won Malaya, not so much Madagascar. The Doyles rarely replaced a unity. There was a reason was widely believed that the fistfights were more common concurrent to handshakes. Well, in the time of crisis, there was little choice for the politicians besides working together. So a great deal of pride had been swallowed before the members of a Doyle convened to attempt to work together for once. Standing in his usual position beside the door, Lamasse began his speech with a bold or perhaps more of an unwitting comment. I'm glad you have all finally come around to my way of thinking. Oh, for heaven's sake, sod off, Lamasse, get on with it! The Tasik scowled into the crowd of TDs who were assembled, trying in vain to pick out who had spoken in such a brash manner. Failing to find the culprit, he pressed on with more urgent matters at hand. As I am sure we all are aware, the current economic situation has deteriorated far beyond what any of us could have anticipated. Now we must work together to turn the sinking ship around, or try and bail out what we can. No, not one man had expected for the following to be easy, however. The reality that they had all agreed to at least attempt a fix of the waning economy was enough to usher in a hope for a fundamentally different future. A future where Irish politics was less divisive and more constructive. A hopeful future was yet, unfortunately, far removed from the reality of what Ireland was yet to endure. Off to a good enough start. Okay, poverty rate will slowly improve. Small economic achievements. There we go. Just tea. Thank you. It's a bit early for dinner. Jack Lynch said, turning to the waitress and handing her his menu. Well, you won't mind if I order the bass, will you? Vera's cooking's taken something of a nosedive with all the shortages this year. Liam Cosgrove said, handing the menu off to the smiling waitress. The girl left Cosgrove rubbed his hands together eagerly. To business. Liam, you know as well as I do it's poor form for us to be meeting in the dark like this. What could you possibly have from me that justifies the secrecy? It's hardly secrecy, Jack. Just wanted to get my word in before anyone else. The mass listens to you, so I hope maybe you listen to me. About? Asked Lynch, rubbing his forehead at the admittance that his friend was using him as a political messenger boy. About the OFN. I already know you're leaning it the same way I am, but if there's any doubts in your mind about it, just let me lay things out. Civil War has just evicted us from the biggest economic bloc in Europe. It wasn't a terribly great bloc to be a part of either, if I'm honest. Unequal treaties and stuff. OFN's not exactly a perfect deal either, Liam. We'll be lesser partners, just the same as the Pact. We may be strong-armed into backing America's embargoes. That's the thing, though. We're going to be a lesser partner and forced to embargo a good number of countries either way you look at it. You know, the Americans are willing to offer exactly what we need to get out of this whole disastrous mess. Hell, if we negotiate well, we might end up with very few downsides. If we do poorly, we'll still be better off than we started. What do you think, Jack? I think I'll pitch it to Lamas tomorrow. Let's go ahead and do this. Why not? And then seatbelts, everyone. In the aftermath of Hitler's death and the chaos in Germany, big corporations that once stood tall with the assist of the Reich find themselves teetering on the edge of oblivion. Numerous sectors of the Irish economy are tied up one way or another with large companies and conglomerates, and their failures would tear giant holes into our already tattered economy. These corporations are simply too big to fail. We'll bear out these large corporations so that they can make it through the crisis without falling completely apart. It's sure to be an unpopular move among the people of Ireland, but they'll see it wasn't necessary once we make it through this in one piece. Ireland and America, name a more classic partnership. True. Truly, honestly. Bunch of good lads, those Yanks, I tell ya. And there goes old Meyer Landroot. We'll see who ends up winning. Speaking of which, have they gotten to... I don't think they have. Oh, right, I remember the combing machine is broken. So we're not gonna get Tabby. Fuck. We're gonna get literally anyone else, but not Tabby. Yeah, I know, that's not very funny. The Algerian crisis has been avoided. Clutching his notice that had arrived from government, Dermot hobbled as fast as his aging yet determined legs could bear. Despite the vigorous shaking of his hands, he grasped his thin-rimmed spectacles, placed him on his pointed nose, and forced his tired eyes to dart across the page. By now, he was desperate for any sign of respite from the uncertainty that had plagued his life these past few days. Who the fuck wants a super buff Suslov? Nobody wants that. Yeah, honestly. The reef blackly swept Dermot off his feet. A bailout was to be issued in order to prop up what remained of the Irish economy, and his company was to be included, keep his family and the families of his workers fed for another day. His legacy would be preserved in the process. Of course, his worries were far from assuaged. The economic collapse had dealt him a great deal of stress, which had surely done no good to his already declining health. Furthermore, Ireland's economy remained stagnant. If things did not improve quickly, then the government's actions will only be postponing the worst of Dermot's fears. Though he could rest easier tonight, safe from the knowledge that his business would thrive another day. At least someone was saved. So let's check the economy now. We still have a bit of a surplus. Well, not much in the way of reserves. Let's keep fighting inflation. And then we got a question of, well, now what? A few months ago, the Republic of Ireland faced one of her greatest crises in the modern era. Ireland's economy, tied as it was to the now fractured German Reich, began to rapidly collapse on itself and cannot be stopped. Ireland was on a path to ruin. Thankfully, our emergency measures have worked. While we may not have managed to completely slow down the collapse, not yet, we managed to slow it down enough so that we have a little bit of room to breathe. Even still, we're not out of the woods yet. We must come together with a more permanent plan of action than our current emergency stopgap measures. If we fail, all of our efforts, all of our sacrifices, and all that we have done will have been for nothing. We must not let that happen. The dream of Ireland must not die. No one's ever played Suslov. I know I haven't. I sure as hell know I haven't. Canal riots. I'm here, Taishuk. I assume you would want talking points. Jack Lynch said straight to business after Lamasse's secretary left the office. Sit. Lamasse said, standing up respectfully. His colleague entered and gesturing to a chair in front of his desk. Lynch nodded, and the two of them sat back down. Lamass slid the report Lynch had sent him onto the center of a desk, tapping his fingers and papers to make a point. I stand by it. Ireland's futures will be OFN, not the pact. We can offer fair trade deals, stability, no strings attached investments, not to mention sanity. Jack, I know what you're gonna say. What will Germany say? I'll remind you, Toyshuk. The Reich is up in flames, and we can't even be sure they'll be in a position to protest by the time they put themselves back together. And even if... Yes, but Jack... Listen, Sean. Even if Germany is back on top of the world in 10 years' time, they won't risk a nuclear confrontation with America just for the sake of a strong arm and a small island nation in their sphere of... Damn it, Jack. Will you let me get a word in? I've been trying to say I agree with you. And that's not to mention... You do! Send Lynch's report to Doyle. This may be our best hope. Oh shit, Eric's streaming right now. Nice. I'll have to rate him probably after this. Shit is gonna be lit. One understands himself is basically just authoritarian commie. That's pretty fucking boring. Oh, yeah. I mean, even for commies, you have feminist communism. And then you have fucking space communism. So you have all of those going. Why would you bother with boring-ass Suslov? Honestly. UFF has defeated the invasion. Very nice. I like how they have all the icons for like the Filipino front, and that's just a 2-year thing, but they still have the focuses. It's cool. I like that. It was the beginning of another day before the tense activity of Doyle had come to life, and Lamass was already working hard on how he was to express his preferred future economic policy of the rest of his party. The speech scheduled for later that day was also going to be a turning point for in the overall economic situation of the rest of his to the rest of his party. The speech scheduled for later that same day was also going to mark a key turning point in the overall situation of Ireland, from decline to recovery, a process Lamass desperately wanted to be in control of. Quick, I want to check poverty. How's that doing? It's all the way down here, right? It could be better. Let's see, where were we? Process, yeah, you want to be in control. Better than that. That he was in command, than some crank from outside Fianna Fáil, he thought as he stood up to take a seat in the Doyle. After the strained business of facing the Doyle was over, Lamass headed hastily to the destination of a looming meeting, the while going over the plans he made for earlier that day. Once the hour of the party Congress had arrived, the Toyshuk's delivery was thoroughly rehearsed. The entire nation stands at a crossroads, and we in the Fianna Fáil are the ones most trusted to lead them towards a brighter future. There's no doubt that the fortunes of the people of Ireland have been fallen foul to a spectacular downward spiral in which we empathize greatly. These people's futures demand that we, as a party, take action. Now my accomplished colleague, Deputy Ryan, has already put forward through such a plan for action that will be assuredly ushered in the new economic age. All I ask for you as members of Fianna Fáil to back the economic deal and end this madness. A tired ripple of applause came up from the party members in reply, nothing like as a sounding response as Lamass had hoped for. In a moment, the man realized how futile his actions were. Even his party remained uncooperative. Inspiring words falling on deaf ears and in nothing. Base Philippines. True fucking dat. Let's talk to the party. Fortunately, we've failed to come up with a solution to the current economic crisis we find ourselves in our own. Thankfully, though, we do not need to come up with a solution for our problems by ourselves. Fianna Fáil has governed the Republic of Ireland through many crises of the past few decades. Surely will be able to help us come up with a solution for this one. Sean Lamass has called for a General Congress of the Fianna Fáil Party, where we will discuss possible solutions for our issues. All current members of the party will come together in a great effort to finally find a solution. With so many people working together on the current problem, someone will have to be able to come up with a solution for us, right? Right? Please? Ooh, Russian Democratic Council's doing pretty well. Sean McGinty sat at Toysuk Lamass's desk, his old frame sinking in the chair in the way that only his tired old bones could. Could you repeat the question, Toysuk? Certainly. Why is it that you think anyone would pick your plan over the others? Yours is the only one which professes to not fix the damn economy, McGinty. I see. The upset is that mine is the only one that's honest, Toysuk. The others won't fix the economy either. Lamass's hand balled up into a fist on the desk. The action wasn't lost to McGinty. Pronunciation changes every time you say it. Yeah, I try to remember how to say it. It's like, wait, fuck. That's not how you say it, but how do you say it? You want an explanation, Toysuk? I don't mind. Cautious plan is rubbish through and through. Just wants to run up the debt and hopes it will magically make things either better. Debt's being run up even without caution. Austerity is the only answer that addresses the problem. What about Lynch, McGinty? What about our plans to open up trade with the OFN? With respects, getting invaded by an angry rack will be much worse for our economy than austerity. Things will stabilize in a few years, Toysuk. We can put a little more into the budget, but until then we can't balloon our debt and spend money that we don't have. Well, when you put it like that, Taeshuk. Yeah, when you put it like that, Taeshuk. 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 It's the bloody Taeshuk, goddammit. Taeshuk. Okay, Taeshuk. I let you shake my tea. Taeshuk. It goes with Finnish military government. The coalition governments. Very nice. Oh. Coalition government of the Philippines. Very nice. Is these... These are the OFN observers. Okay. And then I think this is where America can try to get them into, Taeshuk. Okay. This is where the Americans try to get them into the OFN permanently. We've failed. Sean Lamass has failed. Fianna Fáil has failed. The General Congress was a failure. Not a single party member was able to come up with a plan during the Congress to solve the economic crisis we've been in for months. Not all is lost, however. Thankfully, we have one less option available to us. The coalition will summon the entirety of our cabinet members, all members from both Fianna Fáil and Irish Labour, to one grand conference where we will discuss the plans to attempt to find a solution to the economic collapse, to once and for all save the Republic of Ireland. We are running out of time. If we do not come up with a plan now, the Republic of Ireland will surely be lost. This is our last chance to fix things. We must act now if the Emerald Isle is to ever shine again. So we have... Uh-oh, laddie. What are you doing to me? This is like borderline Shrek. Borderline... Oh no! It wasn't batched! Oh god! Oh no! They didn't patch it. It wasn't bad. Oh. Damn you, Canadians! The goddamn 1964 Winter Olympics. Canada strikes again. Well. Oh, well, thank you for the follow, MFXDemon_plays. I appreciate it. Hello, how are ya? Oh, no. Well, guess that's our message from the universe to stop. Well, F's in chat, boys. And with that, well, we'll come back to this next time, I guess. To all the YouTube people, I say goodbye.